statistics says that one of the greatest fears aside the fear of death is the fear of public speaking. So a lot of us have challenges. You're a business owner, you're an employee, you're an employer, and all that. You need to be able to communicate. I'm back again on your screen, and today we'll be talking about something very important. I know a lot of you have been asking yourself, where do I get information about how to become a better speaker? Because communication is important. Nothing in life is as important as the ability to communicate. At the end of the day, it's not about just talking, because public speaking is way beyond just talking and then talking to people. No, it's about influence. I can be selling product A and you're selling the same product A, but my ability to sell my product is different, will make me stand out. So those are things communication is going to do for you. Those are things that public speaking is going to do for you. So today we'll be talking about the components of a successful speech. Components of a successful speech. So what are those components? First, the very first component of a successful speech is storytelling. Any presentation you do without stories is almost incomplete. You cannot overflow the importance of storytelling. Storytelling is something that helps you to be able to connect with your audience. So, established speakers, for those of you, amateur speakers, yes, but for established speakers, they use stories for different reasons. So they use stories for different variety of purposes that helps them. So we're going to be listing out what are the reasons why they use storytelling, like established speakers and the rest of them. I know you usually see established speakers, they come, they tell different stories, they give instances and all of that, and you're wondering why. It is because they use stories to do what? First, to make statistical data and facts more vivid and interesting. For example, if I come and say, oh, there's a statistic that says Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world, and I don't tell you stories of a woman in my street that is hungry and all of that, or a lot of people who are hungry in the villages and in rural villages and rural areas and all of that, you will not be able to, but it helps you to do what? Understand it better, to appreciate it better. So what other things that story do for you, or why do established speakers use story? What do they use it for? They also use stories to relieve tension. You never can tell. Let me tell you something. You know the thing about tension, because yes, it's good. Fear is normal in public speaking. That's the truth. It's normal. You're not alone. Even established speakers have 1, 2, 3 seconds of fear when they are there to speak to you. But the difference between them and you is that they know how to manage the tension. They know how to manage the anxiety. So how do you cope with these anxieties? So one of the things they use in coping with anxieties is story. Because if you tell a story as a speaker and your audience are able to connect to the story, and some of them are saying, yes, that's true, this thing has happened to me, they're talking to themselves. Is there this kind of thing has happened to me before and all of that? You see all those points they're talking to themselves, and that means they are being carried along because the story is something they can relate to. You read, that will help you do what? Calm your nerves and all of that. So they use stories to do what? To relieve tension. They also use stories to make important points of the presentation memorable. If you want to make anything memorable, put it in stories. Tell stories about it. You have a concept, you have something you want to teach people. Look for stories that back up what you're teaching and all of that. That's why even the greatest book that's ever written, the Bible, is filled with a lot of stories, because you'll be able to help you understand what God wants from all of us. The Supreme Being, what He wants from all of us. So, and that's why they tell a lot of stories and all of that in the Bible, because it's going to help you do what? Understand it better. What again do stories do for you? Stories help to do what? To establish a connection with a particular audience. Every audience have a story. Like if you're talking to a Nigerian audience and you talk about Lagos traffic, for example, they will understand you better, because Lagos traffic is something that we're familiar with, something that is synonymous to Lagos. So even as a Nigerian, even if you've not been to Lagos, the fact that there's a connection that when someone talks about Lagos traffic, you've heard about the stories of Lagos traffic, so you're able to connect. Stories also help to shape people's belief. There's one thing that shaped my belief about a whole lot of things about life, and that was sometime in either 2014 or 2015 when I watched The Danger of a Single Story by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. That TED Talk changed my life. When I listened to the stories of what stories can do to people, how story can rob people of who they are, their dignity, and all of that. So she gave instances of even her where she has been guilty of a single story. So when she was talking about her, the young man that was living with them as a domestic help that came from the nearby rural village, his name was Fide, and how she misjudged Fide's family and saw Fide's family as poor and not being able to do anything and all of that, until she was able to find out that, oh, actually Fide's family is very creative, because they could make a very fine basket made of diagraphia and all of that the family makes and all of that way of living. So when she told those stories, those personal stories, it touched my heart. So what did I do? I asked myself, how have I been guilty of a single story? Earlier before then, I used to misjudge a lot of religion and all of that. But no, I discovered that, okay, this thing I have, this problem I have, this stereotype, this prejudice I have about some other religion, all of that, why don't I go and find that for myself? So it made me throughout my stay in the university, not throughout my stay though, for at least my 200 level or so, I went to the mosque throughout. So it was when I went to the mosque, I discovered that there were a lot of things that we were told that were wrong, and it helped my life. It changed my belief. It changed my mentality. And that's because Chimamanda told a personal story of how she has been guilty of a single story. So it made me do what? Also check, how have I been guilty of a single story? Enough of the stories.
Oh, have you subscribed to our YouTube channel yet? For every subscription, we will be giving a token of 15 naira to orphanage homes.
That's what storytelling, and that's an important aspect of what. Today I'm going to be sharing just maybe 2 or 3 important components of success, a successful speech. The next one, aside storytelling, is body language. Your body language, the way you stand, the way you talk. For those of us who always putting our hands in our pockets, wrong. Are you putting your hands in your pocket while you're talking to your audience? It's going to do what? You're going to send a wrong signal. So the way you stand, the way you posture and all of that, they are important that you do what? You make sure you use the appropriate body language. So it's about time to smile, just smile. You can't go to a funeral, you're giving the funeral oration, you're smiling. That's not the place to smile. So you need to know the appropriate body language to have at every single speaking engagement. There are ones that require you to smile, then you smile, yes. So you can't come because you're speaking to the audience, you're shy and all of that, you bend your head like you have hunchback. No, that's not for you. So you need to be able to stand upright. Let people be looking at your face. Your audience, you need to face your audience at every point in time. So even if you want to be looking at your material and all of that, you probably look at your material for like a minute or a second or so. Just look at your material for a second and then you turn and face your audience. Your audience should be your point of contact. These are the people you're talking to because it helps you to do or to build a connection with them. So when we're talking about body language, we're talking about your eye contact. So what does eye contact do for you as a speaker, or what does it do for your audience? It gives them that sense of sincerity, that you are sincere, because they can see through you. They used to say that if you want to know when someone is lying, look at them, they're always bending their head, they're looking at. So that time that you're always bending your head, you're not looking at your audience, what you're telling your audience is that you're lying. Do you understand? That's what you're telling your audience. So you don't want to do that. So that's what you need to, that's why you need to do what you need to be able to look at the audience, maintain eye contact, look at them. So when you stand very well. Don't put your hands, don't hide behind the lectern. You can't say, okay, because yes, it's good to when you're making a presentation behind the lectern or for some, just move a bit from your lectern. You can just stand by the side and all of that and then come back to the lectern, except maybe of course, it's a manuscript speech that you cannot move. But if it's something like an extemporaneous speech, an impromptu speech and all of that, an off-the-cuffs kind of speech, you have to do what? You have to move around, connect with your audience, move close to them and all of that. Let me talk about moving close to your audience or building a connection, talking to them personally. Have you ever been in a presentation where the speaker comes into the audience, you're seated in the audience, and the speaker touches your shoulder like this? There's a way the speaker is talking, making the presentation, is touching. How do you feel? Don't you feel a certain level of connection to the speaker? Yes, you do. That's how the audience are going to feel when you walk close to them. If there's a central aisle, you move into the central aisle. Go, don't get scared of them. Know how to manage your stage, your arms and all of that. Those things are things that if you don't pay attention to them, you make mistakes. I'm talking about use of hand. Don't put your hands in your pocket. Or don't be waving your hand around like you're trying to confuse your audience. Those are creative diversions and all of that. They are distractions. You don't want your audience to feel that way. All right. When we talk about the components of a successful speech, besides the storytelling, the body language, the next thing we're going to be discussing today is pause. The power of pause. I call it the power of pause. Sometimes there are some things you do and you allow the silence speak for you. There are some things you do, you allow what? The silence to do what? To speak for you. I said there's a speech that said that there's no word that is as powerful as a rightly timed pause. So when we're talking about pause, we're talking about the different kinds of pauses that you can apply in different kinds of what? Speaking engagements. For example, have you ever seen a speaker who comes on stage and then he keeps quiet, he's looking at everybody? He's just looking at everybody, maintaining eye contact. everybody is like, people are scared. How do you feel? The audience will be like, what does he want to say now? Does he want to call my name? Hi. You see them, they will keep quiet. You see that silence in the auditorium is powerful. That silence, that's when we talk about what? A long pause. So those are things that once you can apply, because public speaking is largely about flexibility. You know, okay, I apply this concept, I move to this one. You don't have to be monotonous. You have to be able to dance around, move from. So at that point of making sure everywhere is calm, because of the way you look at them and all of that, that's a long pause that you can apply. And you should be able to know when to do what to apply, the right pause. Then aside the long pause also, there's what we call the pseudo pause. It looks like pause, but it's not a pause. So when we talk about it looks like pause, like you repeat something over and over again. The reason the speaker is repeating that thing over and over again is so that it can sink. It's so that you can understand it, so that it can enter very well. You can connect better. That's why they do what they do. It looks like a pause, but it's not a pause. Just like when we say pseudosciences. So pseudo pause looks like what? Pause, but it's not a pause. Then of course, again, the spontaneity pause. So spontaneity pause is the kind of pause where, have you ever seen a speaker where the speaker is searching for the right word? He's searching for the right word. The speaker does things like, what's this word? And then the audience filling the space for him. So that moment, the audience filling the gap of what he's trying to say, what he tells the speaker is that they are following. So sometimes you think the speaker forgot his line of thought. Is a lie. He didn't forget his line of thought. It's planned. He knows that at this point of my speech, at this point of my presentation, I want to apply what? A spontaneity pause. Because he has to make it natural. All right. So what again do you need? What are those other components of a successful speech? You need to have materials. You need to be able to have materials. And that's the final thing we're going to be discussing today. You need to have materials that will be able to show what you're presenting to your audience. So when we talk about visual aids, it could be written inscriptions, it could be your PowerPoint slide, it could be your anything at all, at least something that your audience can relate to. Because research has shown that learning occurs more when people can see and hear you than when they can just hear you alone. But when they can see, they can relate to it, it gives them multiple perspective to the learning. And the whole essence of public speaking is for people to understand you, for people to be able to be influenced, for people to follow you. That's the whole essence of public speaking. And if they're unable to follow you because you probably don't have what it takes, it's just talk, sometimes their attention span would reduce. But when they can read something, when they can look at something while you're talking, they can connect to it while their brain is processing it and all of that. So those are the things that you must, for you who wants to have a successful speech, because next time I know that, and next time you're going to be a better speaker. I mean, next time you're going to watch this video, we're going to talk more on public speaking. We have a whole lot to talk about in public speaking. But for today, I want you to just follow, like, share this video, comment. For today, this is where we'll draw the curtain. Until we meet next time, it's still me, Dennis Idoko, and this is Stops Institute. Thank you very much for watching today. You have a blessed day.